On February 13th, kindergarten teachers waited in vain for the mother of two girls. Her phone was silent. That same evening, her father went down into the basement of his son-in-law's house and saw something impossible to forget. This is the story of a woman who seemed to have absolutely everything: beauty, fame, her own business, a strong family. From the outside, a perfect life. From the inside, something else entirely. Former Miss Switzerland finalist and successful business coach Kristina Joksimovic had, by the age of 38, achieved what many only dream of: popularity, financial independence, a thriving modeling agency, and a family, a husband, two children, a spacious house in one of Basel's most expensive neighborhoods. The kind of house neighbors walked past with a touch of envy: a manicured lawn, expensive cars at the entrance, a children's swing in the yard. Everything was like a picture. In recent years, the former beauty queen had devoted herself almost entirely to raising her daughters. She stepped back from active work and began appearing at events less frequently. In photos, she looked happy. She smiled that special smile of a woman who has found her place. She hugged her girls. She captioned the photos with warm words, sometimes just a couple of words, but something real could be felt in them. On February 1st, 2024, Kristina posted several photos from a vacation on social media: mountains, fresh air, breakfast on the terrace. "Thank you for an unforgettable vacation," she wrote. An ordinary post, ordinary words. Thousands of people write such things every day. She didn't know, couldn't have known, that 2 weeks later she would be found in the basement of her own home, and that the circumstances of this discovery would make the entire country shudder. Kristina Joksimovic was born and raised in Switzerland. Although her family's roots trace back to Serbia, her father was Serbian. She grew up in a loving family where education and hard work were valued. Her parents worked hard but found time for their daughter. Perhaps that is why she grew up the way she did: confident but not arrogant, ambitious but not cold. By the age of 17, Kristina already possessed a look that was impossible to ignore. Tall, stately, with regular features and a certain poise, as if she always knew where she was going. But it wasn't just about that. Appearance is one thing, but how a person carries themselves, how they look, how they enter a room, that is another. Kristina was distinguished by an inner confidence, calm and effortless. She didn't try to make an impression. She was simply herself, and that was enough. She knew how to win people over from the first minutes of a conversation. She knew how to listen, truly listen, not just pretend. She knew how to speak so that people felt important, a rare quality, especially for a 17-year-old girl. And of course, she was noticed. In 2003, young Kristina was invited to try her hand at the Miss Northwest Switzerland pageant. She was 17 in age when everything seems possible and a little frightening at the same time. She agreed. She was probably nervous. Who wouldn't be? But if she was, she didn't show it. She walked onto the stage, smiled, and did everything right. And she won. A crown, camera flashes, the first interviews. Journalists asked about her plans, her dreams, and what it was like to become a beauty queen at 17. She answered calmly, without affectation. She spoke about wanting to study, to develop, and to help other girls find confidence. At the time, it sounded like the standard words of a winner. Later, it turned out she was telling the truth. From that moment, a completely different world opened up before her. A world of runways, glossy covers, and new opportunities. A world where appearance is currency and the ability to present oneself is a survival skill. This world breaks many. It tempered Kristina. Later, she sat on the jury herself. It was a strange feeling, looking at girls who were just as nervous as she once was, seeing how they tried, how they attempted to hide the trembling in their knees, how they smiled, even though everything inside was tightening with fear. She evaluated their walk, their posture, their ability to hold a pause. She knew what to look for because she had gone through it herself. She understood what a girl feels standing before a room waiting for an evaluation. This experience would later come in handy. At the same time, Kristina studied. She wasn't one of those who bet everything on looks alone. She understood. Beauty is a temporary resource. You need something more, something that remains when youth fades. While a university student, she worked for a time in IT recruiting, searching for technical specialists for large companies. A completely different sphere, far from runways and spotlights. Here, no one looked at her. Walk, they looked at her results, at her ability to find the right people, conduct negotiations, and fill vacancies. Christina managed. She knew how to manage things in general. She would take on a task and see it through to the end, without unnecessary complaints, without drama. In 2007, Switzerland hosted the National Beauty Pageant, the country's main competition. The winner earned the right to represent Switzerland at Miss Universe, and that was a whole other level, a world stage, millions of viewers, real fame. Christina was 21, in her prime. She decided to participate, and why not? She had the experience, the looks, and the confidence. On her application, she wrote that she enjoyed volleyball, liked documentaries, and read a lot. Simple, honest answers, without trying to seem more interesting than she was. She passed the qualifying rounds. She reached the final. There were 12 girls, the best in the country, each one beautiful, each one prepared, each one wanting to win. In the deciding round, Christina lost. The crown went to 20-year-old Amanda Ammon, a year younger, a bit fresher, a bit brighter on that specific evening. That's how it goes. Beauty pageants are not just about looks. They are about the moment, about how you look right now, under this specific light, before this specific jury. Christina lost. She smiled and congratulated the winner. She took a photo with her two beautiful girls, one with a crown, one without. In the photo, both are smiling. What Christina actually felt remained with her. This could have been a disappointment, the end of the story. The point after which a slow fading begins. She was almost a queen and became no one. That happens. It happens often, but Christina was not one to stop. That same year, literally a few months after her loss, she opened her own business. In her hometown, she launched a school to prepare models for shows. She took what she knew best, the walk, the posture, the ability to carry oneself, and turned it into a business. In essence, it was a consulting agency. Small, almost intimate. Christina herself acted as the mentor. She conducted the classes herself. She worked with each student herself. She trained aspiring models. Those just trying their hand, who didn't yet know how to walk in heels so that it looked natural. She prepared contestants for beauty pageants, explaining how to answer the jury's questions, how not to lose composure under the camera's lens. She worked with businesswomen, teaching them how to hold their own in negotiations, how to make an impression, how to enter a room so that people turned around. The correct walk. Business etiquette. The ability to look someone in the eye. The ability to be silent when silence is needed. The ability to speak when speaking is needed. Simple things. But many don't know how to do them. Christina did, and she knew how to teach them. And at the heart of her approach was a simple conviction. Every woman is capable of more than she thinks. You just need to show her, give her the tools, support her at the right moment. Christina posted some of the lessons on YouTube. She recorded videos in her studio, small but well-equipped. She showed exercises, broke down typical mistakes, and gave advice. She spoke to the camera as if talking to a friend, without being preachy, without condescension. In a few years, the channel gained about 55,000 subscribers. For a narrow niche, that's a serious number. This wasn't entertainment content, scandals, or memes. These were instructional videos about walking and posture, and yet 55,000 people subscribed and watched. In 2013, Christina received an offer that meant a lot. She was asked to become the mentor for the new Miss Switzerland, Dominique Rinderknecht. The young winner was preparing for the Miss Universe pageant and needed someone experienced, someone who knew this world from the inside. Christina agreed. She prepared the girl for the runway, the cameras, and the interviews. She taught her what she had once learned herself. This was a completely different role, not a participant, a coach, not the one fighting for the crown, but the one helping to win it and keep it. A strange feeling, probably, watching another girl go to the competition that you didn't reach yourself. But if Christina felt anything like that, she never showed anyone. She worked, she did her job, she helped. Christina's social media was filled with photos and videos, some professional, some not. Here she is demonstrating how to walk correctly in high heels, step by step, slowly, with explanations. Here she is showing how to wear red-soled shoes, the recognizable ones that make many women's hearts beat faster in a shoe store. Here she is conducting a masterclass for a group 10, women in a room, all focused, all trying. Here she is, posing for a glossy magazine, professional lighting, professional makeup, professional smile. Her life looked bright, full, and successful. The kind one could be proud of, the kind they write about in magazines under the success story heading. From a beauty pageant finalist to a successful entrepreneur. A beautiful path. By 38, Kristina Joksimovic had almost everything. A career, money, recognition, a name in the industry, students who achieved success and thanked her. All that was missing was a family, the thing you can't buy and can't earn, the thing that either happens or it doesn't. But that changed too. In December 2016, she shared the news. Her boyfriend had proposed. It was unexpected. Kristina rarely showed her private life. She kept it separate from her public image. But here, she couldn't help herself. A photo appeared on social media, rare, almost intimate. His face in close-up, her radiant smile, a ring on her finger, simple, elegant, tasteful. "I said yes," Kristina wrote, and she added, "the love of my life." 5 words, short, concise, happy. The chosen one was Swiss businessman Mark Reben. He was nearly 4 years older than her, tall, distinguished, with the confident manner of a man accustomed to getting what he wants. Little is known about him. Kristina rarely showed her husband on camera. He didn't like cameras. He didn't like attention. He preferred to stay in the shadows. But when she did show him, the captions were warm, almost tender. "My person, my other half, the one I was waiting for." 9 months later, in August 2017, they were married. The wedding was what a beauty queen's wedding should be, like a fairy tale. The ceremony took place at the Grand Hotel Giesbach, a luxurious 4-star building built in the style of an old castle. Turrets, arched windows, a terrace overlooking the mountains. The hotel stands at the foot of a famous waterfall, the very one depicted on Swiss postcards. The water falls from a height, breaks against the rocks, and kicks up a cloud of fine mist. And behind the waterfall, the lake, calm, blue, bottomless. Mountains, water, fresh air. The sunset paints the sky in pink and gold, the perfect scenery for a perfect day. As if someone had specially constructed this image, the bride wore a lace dress, long, elegant, without excessive ornamentation. Her hair fell loosely over her shoulders. Minimal makeup. She was already beautiful. Why hide it under layers of cosmetics? The groom in a dark blue suit, austere, fit. He looked at the bride the way men look when they have received what they wanted. In the photos, they look happy. Truly happy. Without tension, without posing, without the awkwardness that happens when people pretend for the camera. He holds her hand. She looks up at him. They are both smiling, and the smiles are real. "Forever in your arms," Kristina wrote under a wedding photo. Romantic, a bit naive. That's how people who believe in eternal love write. Pure love, she added to a video of the celebration. Guests are dancing, music is playing, glasses of champagne are flashing. An ordinary wedding, a happy wedding. 6 months later, the newlyweds went to Argentina, a honeymoon they had postponed because of work. Now they finally made it. Buenos Aires, tango, steaks, red wine. Kristina posted a photo. The two of them against the backdrop of a beautiful building. She is pressing against him. He has his arm around her shoulders. The caption, "My rock." 2 words, simple and warm. The kind behind which something real is felt. A year later, in 2019, she published a photo from the wedding album. Apparently, she was going through photos and came across this one, a particularly good one. "Happy birthday to the one who stole my heart," she wrote, her husband's birthday. A reason to say something nice. By that time, the couple lived in a spacious semi-detached house in one of Basel's most expensive districts. A good house, 2 floors, a basement, a 2-car garage. A good neighborhood, quiet, green, safe. These are the neighborhoods chosen by people who can afford it, and who want to raise children in the right place. A good life. So, it seemed from the outside. In 2020-2021, Kristina became a mother, twice. 2 daughters, one after the other. First the first one in 2020, then the second a little over a year later. Two girls, two little copies of their mother, just as blonde, just as blue-eyed. 17 months after her first birth, Christina talked about her journey to motherhood. She recorded a video and wrote a long post. She posed with her belly already during the second pregnancy. She was glowing. There is no other way to put it. "I am proud of many things in life," she wrote. "My career, my business, what I have achieved, but nothing compares to being a mother." These were not empty words. It wasn't an attempt to appear proper. She really felt it, at least. So it seemed to everyone who knew her. Children became everything to her, the center of the universe, the meaning. It was visible to the naked eye, through the photos, the captions, and how her content changed. Before runways, heels, masterclasses, now playgrounds, walks in the park, breakfasts for 3, less work, more family, less publicity, more silence. It was as if she had found what she was looking for, as if she had reached a point where she could stop and say, "This is it. This is my place. This is my life." For the next 2 years, Christina continued to post family photos, with her husband, with her daughters, picnics on the grass, trips out of town, Christmas trees and birthdays. Every post warm words, every photo smiles, a happy family, a perfect picture. On February 1st, 2024, she published a series of photos from a resort hotel, a mountain resort somewhere in the Alps, snow, pines, fresh air. In the frames, Christina is alone, without her husband, without her children. Apparently, she got away to rest, to be herself, to reset. Here she is having breakfast on the terrace, a cup of coffee, a croissant, a view of the mountains. Here she is undergoing spa treatments, lying in a robe, eyes closed, a mask on her face. Here she is standing on the balcony, breathing the mountain air. Her hair is pulled back in a ponytail. Her face is calm. "Thank you for an unforgettable vacation," she wrote. "An ordinary holiday, ordinary photos. Millions of people post such things." On February 10th, the last photos appeared, the training gym in their home. Christina in sportswear leggings, top, sneakers. Standing in front of the mirror, taking a photo. A short caption, quick update. Nothing special, just a photo from the gym, just a 2-second caption. She probably didn't even think when she wrote it. Took the photo, posted it, moved on. These frames were the last ones the former Miss Switzerland ever took. 3 days later, she would be gone. On the evening of February 13th, on the eve of Valentine's Day, Christina's parents received a phone call. The call was from the kindergarten. The teacher, an elderly woman who had worked there for many years, spoke with alarm. No one had picked up the girls. The workday had ended an hour ago. Mom hadn't arrived. And she wasn't answering her calls. What should they do? Nothing like this had happened before. Christina always picked up her daughters on time. Always. She was the kind of mother who arrived 5 minutes before the end and waited at the gates. If anything changed, she warned them in advance. She would call, text, or make arrangements. But now, silence. The phone didn't answer. Messages were unread. Christina's father felt something cold stir inside him. It happens. When you don't know anything yet, but you already feel it. The body understands before the mind does. He dialed his son-in-law's number. Where was his daughter? Mark answered calmly. Too calmly, as they later recalled. His voice was steady, his tone ordinary, as if nothing was happening. He said he didn't know where his wife was. She went somewhere. She didn't warn him. It happens. And he invited his father-in-law over, to have a drink, to chat. Maybe she would return soon. A strange invitation if you think about it. His wife was missing, the children were alone, and he was inviting someone for a drink. But at that moment, the father didn't think about it. He went. He wanted to see for himself what was happening. He wanted to be near his granddaughters. He arrived at their house, that same spacious 2-story house with the well-kept lawn. He went in. Mark met him at the door, shook his hand, led him to the living room. The granddaughters were there, playing as usual. The older one was building something with blocks. The younger one was pushing a toy car across the floor. They saw their grandfather and were happy, rushing to hug him. They didn't understand yet that something was wrong. To them, it was an ordinary evening. The father spent several hours in the house. He sat with Mark in the living room, talking, trying to understand what was happening. He asked, "When did you see her last? What did she say? Where could she have gone?" Mark answered in monosyllables. He shrugged. "I don't know. She didn't say." She just left. It happens. His calmness seems strange. But what could be done? Maybe that's just the kind of person he was, reserved, showing no emotion. Some men are like that. Then they had dinner with the granddaughters. Mark warmed up some ready-made food and set the table. The girls ate and chatted about their own things, about kindergarten, about friends, about what they wanted for their birthdays. Ordinary childhood conversation. The father listened and thought, "Where is Christina? Why doesn't she call? Why doesn't she answer?" After dinner, he went home for a short while. He needed to talk to his wife, Christina's mother, tell her what was happening, decide what to do next. At home, his wife was already frantic with worry. She paced the room, unable to sit still. She called her daughter once, twice, 10 times, no answer. She wrote messages, unread. Then the father returned to his daughter's house. He couldn't not be there. He couldn't just sit and wait. Meanwhile, a phone conversation took place between Mark and his mother-in-law. Long, tense. Christina's mother demanded explanations. Where was her daughter? What was happening? Why was he so calm? Mark repeated the same thing. "I don't know where she is. Sometimes she leaves. It happens. She'll come back, she'll call. No need to panic." His voice was steady. No anxiety, no worry. As if he were talking about something mundane. So what if the wife left the house? So what if she isn't answering calls? Big deal. It was irritating. At that moment, just irritating. Later, in hindsight, it seemed suspicious, unnatural, frightening. The mother wanted to go to the police, right now, without delay. But she understood. Less than a day had passed. An adult woman hadn't returned home for one night. The police don't accept such reports. There are rules. You have to wait. There must be grounds. She hated those rules, hated waiting, hated the feeling of helplessness when you know something is wrong, but you can't do anything. While Mark was talking to his mother-in-law, on the phone standing in the living room, pressing the receiver to his ear, answering in monosyllables, Christina's father walked through the house. He looked into the rooms. He was looking for anything. A note, maybe. Or the bag Christina always took with her. Or the phone. Maybe she forgot it. Maybe she left it. Something. Any trace. Any clue. He walked through the living room, looked into the kitchen. Clean, dishes washed, nothing unusual. He went up to the second floor. The bedroom, the bed was made. Things were in their places. The nursery toys, books, pink curtains. Mark's office a closed door. He didn't go in there. Then he went down to the basement. There were several rooms there. The garage, 2 cars, tools on the walls, the storage room boxes, old things, Christmas tree decorations, and another room at the very end of the corridor, the laundry room. An isolated room with thick concrete walls, built so that sounds wouldn't escape. In the basements of Swiss houses, such rooms are often made for washing machines so that the noise doesn't interfere. The father opened the door, fumbled for the switch, turned on the light. Bright white light flooded the room. A washing machine in the corner, a dryer next to it, shelves with household chemicals, and on the floor, a large black trash bag. A blonde lock of hair protruded from the bag. At first, he didn't understand what he was seeing. His brain refused to process the information. Hair? Why was there hair here? What was this bag? He stepped closer. On stiff legs, like in a dream, he looked. Inside, something round was visible. Something that had once been a face. He recognized her. He recognized her, and he didn't recognize her. Because it was her. His daughter, his Christina, and at the same time, it was no longer her. A scream escaped on its own. He didn't even remember later if he had screamed. He only remembered running out of the house. He found himself on the street. Cold air, lanterns, a passerby, some man walking past. He asked him to call the police. He could no longer speak himself. His throat was tight. The words wouldn't come. The passerby looked at him, at that white face, at the shaking hands, and immediately understood something terrible. He took out his phone and dialed the number. The police arrived quickly. A few minutes, and the street was filled with cars with flashing lights. Blue light darted along the walls of houses, across windows, across faces. Mark Reben was detained that same evening. He was in the house sitting in the living room when the police entered. He didn't try to run. He didn't try to hide. He just sat and waited. At the moment of arrest, he did not resist. He didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't try to explain himself. He stood up when he was told to stand up, held out his hands for the handcuffs, silently. Not a single emotion on his face, not a shadow of remorse, not a shadow of fear. The police said later, in 20 years of service, they had never seen anything like it. Usually, people react, somehow. They cry, shout, make excuses, ask for a lawyer. But this one like a wax figure, a hollow gaze, relaxed shoulders, as if he were being arrested for illegal parking. Upon examining the basement, the police found Christina's remains, what was left of her, crushed, partially dissolved. What they saw shocked even experienced investigators, people who had seen everything, people who, it seemed, could no longer be surprised by anything. One of the policemen, young in his first year of service, went outside and vomited. He stood by the car, leaning his hands on the hood, his insides turning out. His senior colleagues did not judge him. They understood. During the first interrogation, Mark gave a statement. He spoke calmly, without emotion, as if he were talking about something that happened to someone else. He said he found his wife already dead. He came home, and she was lying there, without signs of life. He didn't know what happened. Maybe she fell. Maybe it was her heart. He didn't understand. And then he panicked. He didn't know what to do. He got scared, and in a state of panic, he moved the body to the laundry room, where he dismembered it. Why? How? He shrugged his shoulders. Panic. I wasn't thinking. I did it, and I don't understand why myself. The version sounded wild, absurd. To find your wife dead, and the first thing that comes to mind is to dismember the body? Not to call an ambulance, not to call the police, not to call anyone, but to take a knife and... But he insisted. He repeated the same thing. Found her dead. Panicked. I don't remember what I did. A month later, Mark changed his testimony. Apparently, he realized that the first version wasn't working, that they didn't believe him, that the evidence said something else. He confessed to the murder. Yes, he killed her. But he acted in self-defense. According to his new version, Christina attacked him first, with a knife. They had an argument, she grabbed a knife, rushed at him, and he was defending himself. Just defending himself. He didn't want to kill. That's just how it happened. Forensic medical examination refuted this version, completely, unconditionally. According to the autopsy results, it was established. First, the husband applied strong compressive force. Strangulation. With his hands or something else, it doesn't matter. He squeezed her throat, held it until she stopped breathing. Christina couldn't resist. There were no signs of struggle on the body characteristic of self-defense. There were no cuts on the hands, the kind that remain when a person tries to take away a knife. There were no bruises on the knuckles, the kind that happen when you hit someone. She just suffocated, helplessly, unable to do anything. Next, it got worse. What happened after death? To get rid of the body, Mark used an immersion blender, not an ordinary kitchen one, an industrial one. Powerful. Such blenders are used to grind products in food manufacturing. Where he got it from is unknown. Maybe he bought it in advance. Maybe he took it from somewhere. He turned some body parts into a homogeneous mass, methodically, taking his time. Then he dissolved it in a chemical liquid. Which one exactly? The investigation established, but this information was not released to the press. And one more detail, the one that makes you truly uneasy. While he was doing this, while he was turning his wife into something that could be washed down the drain, he was watching YouTube. Videos were playing on the phone. He used them as an instruction. He was looking at how to correctly do what he was doing. This wasn't a flash of anger, not a heat of the moment, not a loss of control. It was calculation. Cold, methodical, terrifying. Later, the prosecutor's office released additional information, things that were previously hidden behind the closed doors of their home, things Christina didn't talk about in her posts. It turned out that Mark had repeatedly used physical violence against his wife. Not once, not twice, not in a moment of an argument when both were heated. Systematically, regularly, over a long period of time. A friend of Christina's, one of the few she trusted, told the investigation. In recent months, the couple's relationship was in deep crisis. Christina came to her sometimes to talk, to cry. She showed her bruises, talked about the arguments, about how he shouted, about how he hit her. Christina had contacted the police several times, filed reports, came to the station, showed the marks, but no cases were opened. There wasn't enough evidence. There were no witnesses. There were no visible serious injuries, the kind that require hospitalization. A standard story, terrible in its mundanity. Thousands of women go through this every year. They come to the police, tell their stories, show the evidence, and they hear in response, "Sorry, we can't do anything. Come back when there is proof. Come back when it gets worse." Christina wanted to leave. She told her friend about it, said that things couldn't go on like this, that she was afraid, that the children shouldn't see this, that something had to change. But she was afraid of his reaction, afraid of what he might do if she tried to leave. She knew him well enough to understand. He wouldn't just let her go. Other facts surfaced. It turned out that Mark had a woman before Christina, and there were incidents with her too. An ex-girlfriend gave testimony to the investigation. They found her, contacted her, asked her to talk. She was silent for a long time. Apparently, she was also afraid, even years later. Then she finally spoke. She told of flashes of anger, sudden, unpredictable. He could be calm, sweet, even tender, and a second later, explode, without reason, without cause. Something just clicked inside him, and he became a different person. Once, she remembered it clearly. They were standing by the car, talking about something. She was standing near the front wheel. He got behind the wheel and drove off. He intentionally drove the wheel over her foot. She screamed in pain. He stopped, got out, looked at her, without sympathy, without remorse, said, "You need to be more careful." Another time, they were in a car. She was in the front seat, without a belt. Not everyone wore them back then. He slammed on the brakes suddenly, at full speed. She flew forward and hit her face on the dashboard, split her lip, cut her eyebrow. Blood flowed down her face. He said, "Accident." He didn't apologize, didn't take her to the hospital, just an accident, and that's it. After that, she left him, packed her things and left, without looking back. She understood. If she stayed, it would be worse, much worse. She was lucky. She managed to leave. Christina didn't. In court, Mark Reben was described briefly and accurately. A cold-blooded man, incapable of empathy. A court psychiatrist worked with him for several weeks, conducted tests, interviews, observations, recorded a serious personality disorder. Dissocial disorder, that's what it's called in official documents. In layman's terms, sociopathy. The diagnosis does not remove responsibility. Mark knew what he was doing, understood it was wrong, could have stopped, but didn't want to. The illness explains, but it does not justify. It explains something important. This man did not feel, did not empathize, did not repent. To him, other people were not people. They were objects, means to achieve goals, things that can be used. To him, his wife was property. Not a partner, not a beloved woman, property. Something that belongs to him, something that has no right to leave. When property tries to leave, the owner gets angry. When the property insists, the owner takes measures. Christina dared to want freedom, dared to think of herself, dared to plan a life without him. He did not forgive that. The trial has not yet taken place. Swiss justice moves slowly, thoroughly, but slowly. Mark Reben is still awaiting sentencing. He sits in a pretrial detention cell, remains silent. In all this time, not a single public statement, not a single word of remorse, not a single attempt to apologize to Christina's family, to her parents, to their common daughters. The girls, they were 3 and 4 years old when it happened, now live with their grandmother and grandfather, with Christina's parents. They took the granddaughters in. They are trying to explain the unexplainable to them, trying to raise them to be normal, despite everything. What will these girls remember about their mother? Photos, videos, grandmother's stories, maybe vague images, sensations, smells. They were too young to truly remember her. And what will they learn about their father when they grow up? When they start looking for information, when they stumble upon articles, court documents, this story. How to live with this is unclear. Christina Yoksimovic was going to leave her husband. She planned it. She thought about the children, about safety, about the future. She imagined what it would be like, a life without him, without fear, without waiting for the next outburst. but fear kept her in place. Fear of the man she once called the love of her life. Fear of what he might do if she tried to leave. And that fear was not in vain. Leaving a tyrannical partner is the most dangerous moment. This is confirmed by statistics, by research, by thousands of similar cases all over the world. It is then, when the victim decides to leave, that the aggressor feels they are losing control. Their property is slipping away, their power is crumbling, and that is when they are capable of the worst, of what they had not dared to do before. Christina understood this. Intuitively or consciously, it doesn't matter. That is why she hesitated. That is why she delayed. That is why she stayed in the house that had long ceased to be a home. She knew who she was living with, knew what he was capable of. She just didn't manage to leave in time. She was one day late, 1 hour, one step. On February 13th. On the eve of Valentine's Day, the kindergarten teachers did not see the mother of 2 girls, and on the evening of that same day, her father went down to the basement and saw what is impossible to forget.